So let me provide you with some real information. Russia is failing on strategic goals. It is first and foremost a military failure. We haven't forgotten that when Russia invaded Ukraine, many feared that Kyiv would fall in just a few days and the rest of the country within weeks. This did not happen. Instead, Russia has lost roughly half of its military capabilities. Ukraine has driven Russia out of half of the territories it had captured.
This is my video update on this Tuesday morning, January the 16th. Let's talk about some news, and let's start things off with the Iowa caucus, which saw Trump win a huge victory. A historic victory for Trump. I believe he won everything, actually. I think he won just about every voting district in Iowa. He won, and it was a historic margin. We're talking just a complete blowout in Iowa from Trump. Second place was DeSantis. Third place, neocon Nikki Haley. And it looks like Vivek Ramaswamy is going to drop out of the Republican presidential race. Now, CNN and MSNBC and much of the collective West media, they had a complete meltdown. Rachel Maddow was screaming, fascists are winning. And actually, I think MSNBC didn't even carry Trump's victory speech. They refused to air Trump's speech, even though they carried DeSantis's speech in full. They actually showed DeSantis speaking in full, who came in second place, but the first place Trump, MSNBC decided that they're not going to air his victory speech. Man, these guys, man, talk about suffering from a critical case of TDS. I mean, man. So yeah, MSNBC had a complete meltdown, and we head to New Hampshire now. That's where we go, to New Hampshire, where it's projected that DeSantis is not going to do well because he poured most of his time and resources into Iowa. And most likely, Nikki Haley will end up in second place in New Hampshire. And keep in mind that Nikki Haley, her votes, from what I understand, most of her votes in Iowa were from Democrat supporters. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't look like neocon Nikki has that much support from Republicans. But she's going to probably end up in second place in New Hampshire. And that will lead to a Trump versus V. Haley Republican presidential race. That's what we're going to get. Nikki Haley, in her speech, she actually said that even though she ended up in third place, she actually said that now the race is going to be between two people, herself and Trump. So that's where we're heading towards with the Republican presidential race. I imagine that Vivek's support will go to Trump. I can't see much of Vivek's support going to Nikki Haley. So I imagine Vivek's support goes to Trump. If and when DeSantis drops out after New Hampshire, which I imagine he will, that's just a guess. If he ends up in third place in New Hampshire, he will most likely drop out. I imagine that his support will probably split, I guess. I would actually say more of it might actually go to Trump, just because neocon Nikki is just so, you know, I mean, how can you support neocon Nikki? But, let's just say that DeSantis' support goes 50-50. 50 neocon Nikki, 50 Trump. I mean, Trump he's running away with this thing. And then Nikki Haley's going to bet on her home state of South Carolina to try and salvage whatever she'll have left of her bid to become president. But neocon Nikki, I'm sure that the deep state is whispering in her ear not to worry, because they're going to figure out a way using lawfare and removing Trump from the ballots to get her to be the Republican nominee. So I'm sure that's what the Mitch McConnells and the Lindsey Grahams and the Schumers and all these guys, that's what they're probably whispering into Nikki Haley's ear. Just sit tight, keep pushing forward. Don't worry about Trump's 30, 40, 50, 60-point lead. We'll use all our power to try and remove Trump and get you to be the Republican nominee. So the Iowa caucus, a big, huge win for Trump. Let's now go from Iowa to Davos. And in Davos, we had the Ukraine Peace Talk Summit thing taking place, ending with no results. There was no joint press conference, no joint statement, no press conference with all of the members of this peace summit speaking to the media. Actually, the press conference that did take place saw no foreign officials present. It was just the Ukraine delegation. And so you had this theater, this peace summit taking place in Davos, which is all about Ukraine's 10-point peace plan. And basically this 10-point peace plan is just really a Russian capitulation. Part of the peace plan, part of this 10-point peace plan is Russia hands over 300, 400, 500 billion, whatever, in reparations to Ukraine. There are war crime tribunals for the Putin and all of Putin's administration, and that Russia removes its troops from all of Ukraine's territory, 1991 territorial boundaries, which includes Crimea. That's basically this Zelensky 10-point peace plan. And this is what everyone is discussing in Davos. So they had this little peace plan summit, and they were discussing Zelensky's peace plan. And all of this was being discussed without Russia, because Russia thinks this is all pretty much ridiculous. But Zelensky did ask the government of Switzerland to organize a higher level peace conference based on this peace summit that took place in Davos. All theater. This is all freaking theater. Zelensky also said that he wants China to be involved in this Swiss organized high level peace summit that Switzerland agreed to organize. By the way, Switzerland also gave Zelensky 1.5 billion Swiss francs as well, just because. So he is leaving with a minimum of 1.5 billion Swiss francs. Actually, Zelensky's also going to be talking to JP Morgan in Davos as well to talk about reparations and funding Ukraine and stuff like that, investing in Ukraine and all of these things, managing the reparations that allegedly Zelensky's going to get for Russia, and he's going to call on JP Morgan to manage all of this money that's going to be pouring into Project Ukraine, allegedly pouring into Project Ukraine. So that was the peace talks that took place in Davos. Once again, no joint statement, no real decision or conclusion was taken from these peace talks. And during the press conference, there were no foreign officials there. It was just Yermak and the Ukraine delegation. And Yermak is the man behind Zelensky. He's the guy that actually rumor has it, he's the guy that actually runs Zelensky. He was his entertainment lawyer when Zelensky was a clown puppet comedian and not president of Ukraine. Just when he was a clown puppet comedian playing the piano with his penis, it was Yermak who was his entertainment lawyer. But the one big accomplishment from this peace summit, well, two big accomplishments from this peace summit was that they actually got Switzerland. I don't know why, Switzerland to agree to host a higher level peace conference. They also got 1.5 billion from Switzerland, but they also ended up with a really cool family photo. And this is according to the Financial Times. This is not Alex telling you that this was an awesome accomplishment from this peace summit. According to the Financial Times, the one main accomplishment of the peace summit that took place in Davos was that they got 80 countries to come together for a family photo. And that was like more than they've ever had before. More countries, more representatives in a family photo than they've ever had ever before. So that was a huge accomplishment. I think in the photo you can actually see Mr. Klaus Schwab right there as well. That tells you everything you need to know about Zelensky and Project Ukraine. The fact that he's being pushed by Klaus Schwab and the WEF, that's all you need to know about Project Ukraine and Zelensky. That is it. So, the takeaway from all of this, the way I see it, is that this peace summit is obviously it's nonsense to have peace talks or a peace summit without Russia. I think that's the first main takeaway that anyone with half a brain realizes. Even the Swiss, I forgot this guy's position, maybe the Swiss foreign minister, I want to say, but an official in the government of Switzerland, he even said that these peace talks are all well and good. This is all nice stuff, but without Russia, he's like, it doesn't really mean much. That was what Switzerland, a high-level Swiss official, said. I forgot his name, but this is all about creating media narratives, in my opinion. That's it. It's about running with headlines, saying Ukraine engaged in peace talks while at Davos. Ukraine and 80 other representatives from various countries talk a peace plan. That's the headline that they want to run with. And then when you read the article, you start to understand that this is a peace summit and peace talks without Russia. But it's the title that matters. So that when people are sitting in a cafe in the U.S. or in Canada, London, Greece, wherever they are, they read the title and they say, oh, wow, Zelensky and 80 representatives, they're talking peace in Davos. Wow, that's awesome, right? That's awesome. But the Putin doesn't want peace. It's Zelensky and these 80 countries are aligned with Ukraine. 80 representatives. I don't even know if you're talking about 80 countries. I think we're talking about just 80 representatives from various countries at various levels. But a delegation of 80 politicians. They're with Ukraine in these peace talks. Wow, the momentum must be with Zelensky. That's the message that they want to get out there. And then you throw in a little bit of we want China on board as well, and you build the narrative that the collective West is also peeling off China from Russia and from BRICS. Even China is thinking of supporting Ukraine, and that's Russia's number one ally. Russia's sponsoring China. China's sponsoring Russia, and now Zelensky, being the political mastermind, the Churchill figure that he is, he's even peeling off China away from Russia. Wow, that's huge news. This is the narrative that they want to give out, but it's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. It's like a tea party. It's like a bunch of children having a tea party, right? And of course, the only thing that they're serving is air. That's it. That's what these peace talks are about. It's a tea party with air. And then you have a Swiss government official coming along and saying, "Yeah, this tea party's kind of cool. You know, we're sipping our tea of air, but it would be kind of cooler if we actually used real tea." You know, like it would be cooler if Russia was involved, or it would have more meaning. It would actually be real. It would be realistic, this peace talk summit, if Russia was actually taking part in this peace talk summit. This is a freaking tea party serving air. That's what these peace talks are. And of course, they're also about money. They're in Davos. They're in Davos. Yermak is in Davos. Zelensky, the Ukraine delegation. And so, you know, they're talking peace summit and stuff like that, so that they can get more money to Project Ukraine. You see, we're talking peace. We've got a 10-point plan, and give me money, right? That's another goal of this peace talk, peace summit fiction. And he got 1.5 billion, so it's already worked. But there is another interesting, I guess you could say, side story to Davos and Ukraine, and that was reported by Reuters. They put out an article with the title, "Reparation Bonds Could Unlock 300 billion for Ukraine." So Zelensky and his team are in Davos. They have these peace talks. They're talking with J.P. Morgan as well. They're trying to raise money and trying to get weapons. And one of the points of Zelensky's 10-point peace plan is it focuses on reparations. And they're all talking about how do they get their hands on the 300 billion in Russian frozen assets. You always got to remember that in 1 month, you're going to have the 2-year anniversary. So all these people in Davos are trying to figure out how do we really make the 2-year anniversary of the SMO? How do we really make this a big event, and how do we cash out of this thing? And they're talking about the 300 billion, and so it looks like they may have figured out a way. It's a long shot, but they may have figured out a way to get their hands on the 300 billion in Russian frozen assets without sinking trust in the collective West financial system. And according to Reuters, that way is reparation bonds. And this is what Reuters is reporting. Issuing reparation bonds would circumvent these problems, speaking about the legal issues with stealing Russia's frozen assets. Reparation bonds would circumvent these problems. Ukraine would sell securities which pay out if and only if it receives reparations from Russia for the damages done by the war. Interest payments could also roll up and only become payable if Kiev gets compensation. So basically, on a very simple level, the idea is Ukraine issues reparation bonds, and bondholders get paid if Russia loses the conflict. If Russia is forced to pay reparations to Ukraine, then the bondholders get paid. In the meantime, Ukraine raises 300 billion. That's the scheme. I don't even want to say plan. That's the scheme. And this thing is a scheme. No doubt about it. This is really, really rotten. Really rotten. Anyway, Reuters, further down in the article, it says that one objection to the idea is that the bonds would be so risky that investors would demand a deep discount. So Kiev wouldn't get anything like the full 300 billion. After all, even if a judicial process awards Ukraine damages, Western governments may be reluctant to transfer the title of Russia's reserves to Kiev. Ukraine itself might also agree to abandon reparation claims against Moscow as part of some future peace deal. This is why the ideal anchor investors would be Western governments. They have a lot to lose if Ukraine fails to hold off Russia's assault. They are also placed to mitigate the bond's risks. The United States and its allies have the power to determine whether Russia's frozen assets are used for compensation. They will also have a big say on the shape of any peace deal. If Western governments conclude that the Kremlin should get its reserves back, that will be because they conclude the wider gains of peace dwarf the costs of giving up $300 billion. This thing smells so rotten. Reparation bonds. What a scam. What a scam they thought up, huh? So that's what's being floated at Davos. 300 billion reparation bonds. And who are going to be the anchor investors? Well, Western governments, of course. The US government, Germany, the Netherlands, Sweden, Greece. Yep. They're going to get them hands on those Ukraine reparation bonds. And yeah, those bonds are going to pay out if the Putin is defeated, which essentially means never, right? They're not going to pay out. But they'll get 300 billion to Ukraine if this scheme actually works. So yeah, that was an interesting article from Reuters. So speaking about Project Ukraine, we had a big story yesterday that everyone was talking about on the interwebs, and it has to do with the alleged shooting down of Russian planes, spy planes, right? The IL-22 and the A-50. And Zaluzhny, the commander for the Ukraine military, he actually came out with a statement and said that Ukraine was able to shoot down an IL-22 and an A-50 over the Sea of Azov, and this is a huge, massive victory for Ukraine. Now, the collective West media, they picked up on this story and they picked up on Zaluzhny's statement and they ran with it and considered it fact. And they claimed that Ukraine was successful in shooting down an IL-22 and an A-50, which would be a big loss for Russia. Does it mean that Russia is going to lose the conflict, or this is going to lead Russia to lose the conflict? No. But is it a big loss for the Russian military? Yeah, it is a loss for the Russian military. Not only the planes, but the crew, because these planes require a very specialized crew to operate these planes. But the collective West media, they ran with this story, and the narrative is that a Patriot shot down these Patriot missiles, shot down the IL-22 and the A-50. And that would be quite an achievement. From what I've read, that would be something if a Patriot missile was able to hit these planes. I mean, that would be, I don't want to say a first, but wow. That would mean that the Patriot missile system is something else. It can shoot down Kinjal missiles, and it can hit these spy planes, which are flying at a pretty great distance. But there are other rumors which claim that perhaps F-16s were involved. Anyway, this was the story. This was the story. Bad day for Russia. Very bad day for Russia. Huge victorious day for Ukraine. Right at the same time when Zelensky is in Davos with Yermak and his delegation, and they're trying to raise money and weapons, and they've got this peace summit going on. Wouldn't you know it that Ukraine scores a huge victory? But this happened yesterday, and I don't know. I look at the timing of these stories, and I just say, give it 24 hours, and we'll probably get to the truth of what happened. And we kind of did get to some of the truth of what happened. The IL-22, we have photos of it now. It has landed somewhere in Russia. I'm not exactly sure where, but the photos have emerged of the IL-22. It does look like something hit it, and you can see that there is damage to the plane. And from what I've read, some of the crew was injured. I believe one of the commanders on this plane is in critical condition, but the plane landed. It's damaged, but it was not shot down. It was shot at, but it wasn't shot down. Now, there are reports which claim that friendly fire was the cause of the damage to the IL-22, which means that Russia, by mistake, hit this IL-22, this plane of theirs. The IL-22 has not been destroyed, so we can confirm that. Now, the A-50 is a different story. I haven't seen any comment from the Russian Ministry of Defense or any credible analysis for the A-50 and what happened to this plane. So I have a question mark with the A-50, even though I have read reports which claim that the A-50 has also landed and it's okay. I've also read reports which claim that the A-50 was indeed shot down by friendly fire, and that plane has been destroyed. I don't know which report is accurate. What I would say here is give it some time. Give it another 24 hours, 48 hours, and maybe we'll get to the truth. Maybe not. Maybe the Russian Ministry of Defense does not issue any statement on the A-50. We're going to have to wait and see. But the IL-22 was banged up, but the plane is intact. So here's the thing, if Ukraine hit this A-50, or even the IL-22, say the IL-22 wasn't hit by friendly fire, if this was indeed Ukraine, well, it's obvious that this wasn't Ukraine and this was a NATO operation. If any of these rumors is true, and it wasn't friendly fire that shot at these planes and may have even destroyed one of these planes, then it's crystal clear that this was not Ukraine. So it wasn't a Ukraine operation. This was an operation conducted by the U.S. and the collective West. And if that is the case, then we are going to have to wait and see what Russia's response is going to be to this collective West NATO attack on two very valuable military assets. Perhaps this is just a huge rumor, a huge guess that I'm putting out there. But maybe this is the U.S.'s response to the rumor that Lloyd Austin was actually injured in a Russian strike in Ukraine. Maybe this is NATO or the U.S.'s way of retaliating against Russia. I don't know, but the Lloyd Austin thing is a rumor, and what I'm saying now is also a rumor, but I'm just throwing it out there. Perhaps that's what we're seeing here. Lloyd Austin, since we're on the subject of Lloyd Austin, there are reports that he has been discharged from the hospital. The official narrative is that he underwent an elective procedure to deal with prostate cancer. Something went wrong with that procedure, and he had to stay in the hospital for an extra 2 weeks. It seems like we're pretty much at 2 weeks now, so he had to stay in the hospital for 2 weeks. He didn't tell President Biden. Many people in the Pentagon didn't know either. Even the deputy defense minister had no idea what was going on with Lloyd Austin. But he's now been discharged from the hospital, and he's going to be working from home. That is the official narrative. CNN reported a couple of days ago that Lloyd Austin was actually coordinating the strikes on Yemen from his hospital bed, if you want to believe that one. But he's going to go home and he's going to work from home, according to Collective West Media. And that's the story with Lloyd Austin. Now, the rumors are, and these are just rumors, no way to confirm this. There are rumors saying that Lloyd Austin was in Ukraine when the Russians were launching all of these missile strikes in Kiev and in Kharkov, and they were hitting all of these command centers, NATO command centers. And the rumor is that Lloyd Austin was in one of these command centers. This is just a rumor. I want to stress that it is just a rumor, but who knows? We haven't seen any photos of Lloyd Austin in like 2-3 weeks. No photos, no videos, no nothing of Lloyd Austin. This reminds me of the whole Zaluzhny thing. Remember when Zaluzhny was allegedly caught up in a missile strike, and then you had a photo of Zaluzhny at a science fair in Odessa, and it was a Zaluzhny that looked very strange, like different eye color and just a different looking Zaluzhny, and he was at a science fair in Odessa. I don't know, just rumors. These are just rumors. The official narrative that we're going to go with is prostate cancer. Something went wrong with the surgery, in the hospital for 2 weeks. He didn't want to tell anybody. Lloyd Austin didn't want to tell anybody, and he has now been discharged from the hospital, and he's going to be working from home. That is the official story. So that's Lloyd Austin. So let's now talk about, how am I doing on time? All right. Let's now talk about the other big news story. God, we had a lot of big news stories yesterday. And that is the missile and drone strikes by Iran into Erbil, Iraq. And this was a missile and drone strike, which was in retaliation for the terror attack that took place in Iran about a week and a half ago, which killed about 100 people and injured hundreds of more civilians in Iraq who were attending an event for the marking the anniversary of the death of Soleimani. So we now have Iran's response to this terror attack, and they launched missiles at various targeted locations in Iraq, around Erbil, and there are a lot of unconfirmed reports with this story as well. A couple of question marks. Did missiles target the U.S. consulate in Erbil? Did missiles target a U.S. airbase in Iraq? I don't know. The official story is that no, U.S. facilities were not targeted and not hit. But I don't know. I can't confirm that. What is being confirmed by various sources, I believe, including official Iranian state sources, is that they did target a Mossad base in Iraq, and they did hit that base successfully. They also targeted a whole bunch of Kurdish bases and targets, and those were hit successfully, including, and this is where the story gets interesting, including the house of a Kurdish businessman, Peshrava Ziel, and I'm probably pronouncing that name wrong. And this guy was the man in charge of a group of companies known as Empire and Falcon. And these companies, they had a whole bunch of contracts from the U.S. military. I believe after the U.S. invasion of Iraq, this guy got all these contracts in Iraq, and he's aligned with all kinds of big multinational companies, oil companies, energy companies, as well as military industrial complex companies. And he was eliminated along with, I believe, his wife was also killed in this missile strike, and I believe his children were injured. But they hit his house. These missiles hit his house. This was not, from what I understand, this was not collateral damage. Iran wanted to take this guy out, and it seems that he was such an important target that 4 missiles hit his residence. That's the story. So what will the U.S. do? They condemned this missile strike against Iran, but what is the United States going to do? Iran said this is in retaliation to the terror attacks. So will the U.S. do something, or are they going to let this be? That's the big question. No doubt, Iran flexed some serious muscles. I mean, this was a pretty strong show of force from Iran, and they showed that they can hit whatever targets they want to hit in the region. So this was a big deal. And on a side note, the other day the Houthis, they also attacked ships in the Red Sea. So after all of the U.S. and the U.K.'s missile strikes against Yemen, what is the Houthis' reaction to all of that? Yemen, what is their reaction to these missile strikes? They're going to continue to hit ships that are crossing through the Red Sea that they want to hit. So the U.S.-UK strikes did nothing to deter Yemen. So a very dangerous situation in the region, in the Middle East. And we will see if there's going to be any response from the United States with regards to this strike from Iran. So let's see. Should we do some clown worlds? Yeah. A big day of news yesterday. Very busy, big day of news. So I've got a whole bunch of clown worlds. And which story should I start off with? How about the Kiev Independent, which is saying that I think the Minister of Technology is urging Ukrainians to create drones for the army at home. That is the story that Zelensky has been pushing out over the past couple of months, where he has been saying that Ukraine is going to manufacture 1 million plus drones. This is it. This is it. What they're going to do is they are going to provide people at home with a kit, like volunteers just living in apartments, whatever, living at home in Ukraine, citizens are going to be provided with a kit which will detail how they can manufacture drones to be used to fight Russia. That's how Ukraine is going to scale up to 1 million drones, which is a dumb and reckless idea. It's a very dumb and very reckless idea, because the first question that comes to my mind is, okay, so people are going to actually volunteer, like some dude and his family living in an apartment in Kiev. They're going to actually volunteer to receive this home kit. By the way, they have to pay for everything. The people that volunteer to build these drones, the government's not going to pay for it. They pay for everything. So they're going to actually give some of their own money to buy a kit and manufacture drones in their home, military drones in their home. Does that make their residence, their apartment block, does that make that a military target, a legitimate military target? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. What a dumb, reckless, stupid idea from the Zelensky regime. Anyway, that's one clown world. Another clown world is, we got a bunch of clown worlds for connected to Germany. Germany's economy contracted by 0.3% in 2023. Sanctions really do work, huh? Just not in the direction that they want those sanctions to work. And you have a huge farmers protest taking place in Germany. And the German finance minister, Christian Lindner, he decided to speak to the farmers that were congregating at the Brandenburg Gate. I don't know why he decided to speak at this demonstration, but he did. And this guy was booed like there was no tomorrow. Man, I've never seen someone booed and heckled this much. Boy, the people protesting, the farmers, they do not like Finance Minister Christian Lindner. They were saying, down with the traffic light and get out of here. That's what the crowds were saying when they referenced the traffic light. They mean the traffic light coalition, which is governing Germany. Olaf Scholz and Lindner and the Green Party, Annalena and Habeck. They were like down with the traffic light. They were booing this guy. They were telling him to get out of here. And boy, was this guy heckled in a major way. And sticking with Germany, we had news yesterday that Poland has agreed to the deployment of German troops on its territory if Germany wishes to deploy troops in Poland. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. So this follows the story that I talked about yesterday, which is this 2025 NATO war with Russia that Bild was reporting on after they saw a super secret document. And now you have the reports that Poland is telling Germany, yeah, come on in. Come on in with your troops and all is good. Donald Tusk is doing exactly what he was put in the position to do, which is the bidding of the globalists, the bidding of the warmongers and the EU and US elites. That is Donald Tusk. So that is an amazing story, man. Jeez. Projection. What did I say yesterday? That report, that 2025 Russia-Germany report about some sort of war was projection. And now you have Poland saying, yeah, German troops, come on in. And one more clown world, and we'll wrap this video up, is Kaja Kallas. Kaja Kallas. Russia will threaten NATO borders within 3 years, says Estonia. According to Kaja Kallas, our intelligence estimates this will happen in 3 to 5 years. This will greatly depend on how much we manage to maintain the unity of our position regarding Ukraine. So 2-3 years. 2025, Kaja Kallas is confirming that there's going to be a conflict with Russia. Anyway, that is the video, everybody. theduran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and Twitter X. And go to the Duran shop. Use no code. No code needed. 15% off all merch. Take care.